Okay, so shorts, the first 100 videos, and I noticed I'd done 100 videos in 50 days, because what I did early on is I front loaded the video upload so that the channel got some weight fairly quickly. But let's just run through these headline numbers first, and then I'll dive into the anatomy a little bit more, because there's some lessons to learn in here, I think. So first 100 videos, 50 days, channel has 14,000 views, 143 subscribers, and we all know what we think about subscribers, don't we? They're not important, see other videos. Reasonable growth, it's fallen off in the last few days, and that's because a few of the videos that I've made have yet to hit the short shelf. So what I'm expecting is a surge perhaps middle of next week. We'll see. You know, it's early days, who knows? No guarantees with this game. But I want to just dive in a little bit into the performance of those 100 videos, because here's where the main lesson of this evening's presentation is. There's a little bit of maths, but there's also something which I want you to take inspiration from if you're finding it difficult to carry on being motivated to make videos. So on my other screen, I'm just going to drag it over. Here is a Google Sheet with all of the 100 videos listed, along with the number of views that they got. So you can see here that the ones highlighted on my top videos, so that the most popular one got just under 2,000 views, and then it drops off fairly rapidly. The total for the whole channel there is 14,259. But I just want you to have a look at this. The first 10, and it's 10 for a reason, which I'll come on to in a moment, have been highlighted in yellow. That's where the lion's share of the views have come from. And some of these were fairly recent uploads, 26th of February. There's one here in the top 10, 1st of March, 7th of March. What's the latest one? So these are all sort of mid-February. Bear in mind, I set this up on the 22nd of December last year. So even some of the more recent videos have overtaken some of the older videos in terms of views. Again, I'll make some comments about that later on. But you can see here the top 10 is the lion's share of the views. Some of them go down, you know, right down to sort of 2 or 3 views. So, you know, that could be quite disheartening, couldn't it? You spend some time making a video and it only gets a few views, and that's often where people give up, and that's why they shouldn't give up, and I'll show you why in a moment. So let's go on to the presentation, and I want to introduce to you, or perhaps reintroduce to you, the concept of the Pareto, is that how you say it? Pareto principle, better known as the 80-20 rule, which is a heuristic. And what a heuristic means is it's not a mathematical law, it's more a rule of thumb, and it's a well-known rule of thumb, isn't it, the 80-20 rule? But actually, across the space of creative endeavors, a more accurate heuristic is that half of the value of your work will come from the square root of the number of pieces of work that you create. Now, we're talking about YouTube channels here, but this is exactly the same in any creative endeavor. One example is Mozart. Now, I've got a set of CDs here. That's showing my age, isn't it? With I'll show you a set of CDs with the whole of Mozart's works. There's lots of them. Loads and loads of CDs. Now, I don't know how many there is in here, but the number of his pieces that's ever played on regularly on the radio is probably like that much. You know, a really small amount of them. It will be the same for any other composer. It'll be the same for any painter. The number of paintings by any famous painter that are well known or shown in galleries is typically a very small proportion, i.e. half of them of the square root of the number that they painted. So what this means is that you have to produce a lot of work for a few of them to do very well, that will make up the lion's share of the value that you get back. And that value could be views, could be money, could be recognition, could be anything that you attribute value to. But the key thing is that you'll get a very small number of the ones that you make that give you the lion's share of the reward. Now, I won't go into the numbers in too much detail, but I ran the numbers on this channel, and I've run it on many, many other channels, both my own channels and clients' channels. But just to put this into perspective, the predicted number of views that I would get from the square root of the number of videos that I've done. So I've done 100 videos. I would expect to get 7,129 views from the 10 videos. And what I actually got was 7,929 views from the first 10 videos. So we're within about a 10% margin of error from the heuristic to the ones which the actuals. Forget these numbers. I mean, go through it if you like. Feel free to challenge me. Feel free to ask questions. But this is quite simple maths. This is what it looks like in graphical form, and this is the important thing. What we get in any set of videos is some shooting stars. One or two of them up here. We can see the number of views. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 videos are way ahead. Actually 3 videos if you take it, these being shooting stars. This 4th one is at the top of this curve. But let's say there are 3 shooting stars here which account for a huge number of views compared to the rest of them. The rest of them down here really don't matter that much. So we will have created all of these videos, but only a very small number of them matter. But the key fact is it's not possible to predict in advance which small number of the ones that you create turn out to be shooting stars. So you have to do the 100 to get the 3 or 4 that matter. So if you're creating videos and you haven't yet had your shooting stars, it's only a matter of time that you will get them, but most people give up far too early. And that's what causes me pain doing this job, is that you can see people who are going to be successful, and the numbers indicate that they're going to be successful. The heuristic, has been around, for centuries and way before YouTube, and I've seen it hold true so often that people give up. So look at this graph and then think, what if you'd given up here? We'd never have seen this bit.